Good evening, everyone, wherever you may be, across the deserts of the American Southwest, under the glow of city lights, or out there listening in a quiet darkness. Welcome to Wolf Radio Live. I'm your host, Mr. Wolf. Tonight, we're tuning into something ancient, something resonant. We'll be exploring the hidden science and forgotten wisdom of frequency healing, vibration, and the mysterious energies that may connect us all. Our guest tonight is a man whose research has captivated millions across social media, Tony Sposit, known to many as the TikTok history teacher. His work dives deep into the ancient world, from the resonance chambers of the pyramids to the lost harmonic technologies of Atlantis, all supported by a meticulous scholarly approach. His community on Discord is one of the most active, most researched, and best cited history circles on the web today. We'll be asking the big questions tonight. What is PEMF therapy, and how does it affect the human body? Could vibration and sound have once been used to heal, build, and even power civilizations? And if so, who has kept this knowledge buried, and why? So settle in, turn down the lights, and tune your mind to the right frequency. Because tonight, we're going beyond medicine, beyond myth, and deep into the hum of creation itself. You're listening to Wolf Radio Live, TikTok's home for the unexplained. Before we bring on tonight's guest, let's take a step into the strange, that twilight zone between truth and rumor, science and the unexplained. Each week we prowl through the headlines that never quite make it to the 6 o'clock news. The odd, the fringe, the forgotten, and the forbidden. We call this segment the Weekly Howl. So lean in close, my friends. The wind's carrying whispers tonight. Tales of discovery, deception, and the unknown. Let's see what the world's been hiding in plain sight. Multiple witnesses near Sedona, Arizona reported a formation of silent, glowing spheres moving in a perfectly geometric pattern across the night sky. FFA radar? Clean. Local authorities? Quiet. A few amateur astronomers caught footage, and the new orbs moved as if synchronized to an unseen rhythm. A research team at the University of Heidelberg claims to have rediscovered an audio frequency that introduces measurable euphoria in test subjects. Within days, the study vanished from public archives, and the lead researcher resigned. Some say it's tied to a Cold War experiment on vibrational control on emotion. Fishermen discovered an enormous metallic sphere floating half-submerged off the coast of Tonga. It emitted a low hum audible for miles. Within hours, naval vessels retrieved it under heavy escort. No official statements have been released. Independent researchers using ground-penetrating radar claims that they found a series of acoustic chambers beneath the Great Pyramid, carved in quartz-laden limestone that resonates at exactly 432 hertz. Official Egyptologists deny access, calling the claims nonsensical. A growing community of believers have announced plans for a 2026 Edge of the World expedition, a full-scale ocean voyage meant to locate the supposed Antarctic barrier. The group's leader claims to have obtained satellite images showing a massive reflective wall. Dr. Howard Klein's, a physicist studying the correlation between electromagnetic fields and plant growth, disappeared from his university office last week. Security cameras show his lights flicker, then nothing. The building's electrical system recording a sudden, high-frequency surge seconds before he vanished. A small wellness company developing a heart coherence frequency device was raided by regulators. Their offices cleared overnight. Employees report that the device could synchronize group EEG readings, creating measurable collective calm. The story broke and disappeared within 24 hours. Archaeologists exploring Cappadocia stumbled on an underground chamber that emits a natural harmonic tone when spoken into. Instruments show that the echo isn't a reflection, it's an amplification. Local legends speak of voices of the earth that taught ancient priests the language of resonance. Witnesses across the Andes filmed what they describe as a luminous serpentine figure moving through the night sky, twisting, undulating, leaving ripples of light behind. Experts claim it as an optical illusion. Local shamans disagree, calling it Amaru, the celestial garden of hidden knowledge. A team of amateur radio enthusiasts detected a repeating EM pulse emanating from the Stonehenge site at 3:33 a.m. for 3 consecutive nights. The signal, they say, matches frequency once used in early wireless telegraphy, but modulated by an unknown harmonic pattern. And there you have it, folks. 10 stories the world isn't quite ready to explain, yet can't seem to ignore. Are these coincidences, hoaxes, or signals? Faint frequencies from another layer of reality bleeding through? That's up to you to decide. This has been the Weekly Howl, cleaning our ears tuned to the strange symphony of the unseen world. Next up, we will step away for a brief music break, then return to bring on tonight's guest, Tony Sposit, the TikTok history teacher, to discuss frequency healing, ancient technology, and what history might have hidden in plain sight. So stay with us. You're listening to Wolf Radio Live. Welcome back to Wolf Radio Live. I'm your host, Mr. Wolf, and if you're just joining us, we've been circling around the mysteries of frequency, vibration, and the hidden sciences that shape both mind and matter. But tonight, we're doing something a little different. We're bringing a historian into the mix, because sometimes the strangest answers aren't found in tomorrow's technology, but in yesterday's forgotten truths. My guest tonight is someone whose work many of you already know. He's one of TikTok's most respected educators, known to millions as the TikTok history teacher, Tony Sposit. Tony's approach to history is unlike anything you've seen online. His research is rigorous, sourced, and always cited. Every claim, every document, every mystery backed with verifiable evidence, all available inside his thriving Discord community. He doesn't just teach history, he excavates it, revealing the patterns and connections that textbooks overlook and that mainstream academia often avoid. And tonight, we explore some of the most fascinating insights, from frequency healing and vibration to the resonance of the human heart, the lost technologies of Atlantis, and the possibility that ancient civilizations once harnessed power through sound itself. So let's bring him in. And there he is. Welcome in, Tony. Welcome to the stream.
How you doing?
Love and life, Tony. Love and life. I have been doing a deep dive on your material for the last couple of days, just trying to make sure that I had it all down. Well, look, I've been following you for quite some time now. Well, I say quite some time, several months anyway. And yeah, as I come across you, I realized, look, we researched the same stuff. I mean, the same stuff, same thought pattern, process, and everything else. And you put it together in a way that I have never been able to online. You seem such a natural to pick up that camera, do the little short clips, make them 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes long, but they have the information needed without sounding like a kook, right? And then you also have the time to go through and put together a resource, a resource section in your Discord for anyone who wants to come back and fact check your information. I love that. That is it's an amazing part of who you are as a creator and a researcher, and it really validates the things that you come, to the masses to present. So, hey, welcome in, man. Welcome in, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've got to ask you, for those at home who may be listening tonight who are completely brand new to this, what exactly is PEMF therapy? What does it do? And how does pulsed electromagnetic frequency actually interact with the human body?
So to understand that, you have to look at how the whole body works energetically. There's something called the biofield, which my video today explained it. It's basically the energetic frequency of the body. The heart is really the center of it, at which this whole thing can be measured about 9 feet away from the body. It's actually measurable. So the PEMF device introduces pulsed frequencies into that biofield. And the biofield is basically how every part of the computer. I use a computer analogy, how it communicates. So
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that analogy. I did watch several of your videos where you were breaking that down and talking about the interface and what each component kind of is. And that's what I really wanted our viewers to get a grasp on of what is this whole thing that we call vibrational healing, frequency therapy, all of that type of thing. And is it a real thing at all? Can you just kind of shed some light into maybe the history of it, where it comes from, where you fell across this, and your background in this?
well, history. This is spread all throughout history, right? It's not in one particular spot. So the way they've kind of the way the it's kind of been hidden, and the way they've gotten around it is they've hidden it in 10 different spots. Each of these 10 spots has the information, just nobody's put them together into one location, which is kind of how I started doing this. Is like, okay, let's take these 10 things and put them together. It's very real. I have done, I thought the same way, being history based and fact based. I'm like, first time I read about this and started pulling on this string, I'm like, this is complete and total crap. Like, this is not real. Then I started digging into it and actually doing things like making the AHT music and working with a lot of this stuff. And no, it is absolutely real. I break things down into human resonance breaks down into like a computer, right? So your body is the computer core. That is the piece that houses all the hardware. So it houses every bit of it. That's where it's your computer tower. It's where everything is built. Your mind is basically the operating system, because what you need now is you have a computer core, you need an operating system to focus it all. So your mind is the quantum operating system that's an AI. So you can prompt it, you can tell it what you want it to do, right? Which is where a lot of people have a problem with it. Your soul or your spirit is then the electricity. That's what powers the whole thing. Right? Your eyes are the monitor. You can see, that's how you perceive what the computer is doing, right? Consciousness is then the keyboard and the mouse. It's how you input what you want into the computer, all right? So you're missing one piece, and that's vibration and frequency. That's the binary code of the whole thing. It's how it all talks to each other. Now, there's something else called human heart coherence. This is your command prompt. This is you mentioned it in your howl, right? Somebody came up with a device. A device is not needed. It's actually really easy to do, right? It's the right frequency, and it'll work, right? Basically, this is the command prompt. This is the prompt that says to the computer CMD/run, and it puts everything in synchronistic harmony. When everything is working the correct way, and it's all in line, we call this resonance, which is known as resonance theory. So it all kind of works together. In that case, health is resonance. Not health is unresonance. We have to work on, especially, I use the phrase, the world is not broken. You are not broken. You're out of tune. The goal then becomes tuning you back up.
I loved that. When I heard you say that the first time, I thought that was a great way to put that. You know, when we talk about vibration and frequency, it's easy to think about it in abstract terms, right? But these are measurable forces, right? I mean, so how do ancient cultures seem to have known what we're only rediscovering through modern physics?
Well, let's be 1,000% honest with you. It's not ancient cultures discovered it or knew. They knew. What happened is it's been hidden from us, right? It was hidden from us. That's where that went.
I love that. And you know what? I was hoping to lead to that closer to the end of the thing, but I wanted to ask you, what forces are at work here? Is this an individual? Is this a large entity? The church itself.
The church.
Oh, okay. So the church has done this. And what reason would they have had to do this?
Nothing says love, equality, and inclusion like the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, the Roman Empire never died. It became the Catholic Church. That's all it is. To this day, it's still the last empire, legal empire left on this planet. And that's not me being biased. That's just straight fact. If you look at the definition of an empire and then look at what the Catholic Church is, it's an empire. That's the definition of it. Um, that's who's hidden it, because sometime in the 1800s, Descartes split what was once all one point. Descartes split it, and it became mind and body. Right? The church took spirit. Right? So the church has spirit, you split mind and body. Now we work from there on out. The goal is not to keep humans coherent. If you keep them coherent, if you keep them resonant, they're not easily controlled.
Sure. So you're posing that this is because of human control. Sure. Okay. That's where I thought we were getting at. So now, do you think that they are still doing that to this day with intention, or is it just generations of doing so and it's unintentional by the people that are in play today?
What do you think?
I love that. What do you think? Yeah, definitely. The ones who know. The ones who are in the know definitely know for sure. Now, let's go back to the heart coherence, okay? The idea that our emotions and our electromagnetic fields are tied together in measurable harmony. What's really happening there biologically and energetically? I mean, I know that you've done a ton of research into this. So how does that actually work?
It's not a theory. It's been proven. The Heart Math Institute in the early 2000s actually proved the fact that your emotions will actually have a base on your heart rhythm, your heart coherence, right? So it'll actually amplify this. Each piece of this, everything is vibration, frequency, and energy. That's Tesla. Right now, when people see Tesla say that, you think about it and go, I don't know what he's saying. Until you look into it, then you realize he's right, because your emotions create a wave. They're a frequency. Joy is above enlightenment is above 700. Joy is between 540 and 620. Right? Anger, fear, emotion, they're all low 100s or lower. Right?
So these things have been mapped. Like we
Yep.
kind of know what frequencies control different emotions and aspects of our life.
That's how I create the AHT music. I have them all. They're easily findable.
Sure.
You just got to Google it. So I have
Okay.
all the frequencies of everything. I have the frequency, the solfeggio frequencies, the original frequencies, but I have the frequencies that everything resonates at. The pyramids. And I know you mentioned that about the cavern under the pyramids. Ashad-Zarhi Hawass is the one that's saying that, but that's a whole nother story. So the pyramids resonate at 110 to 111. Any of the stuff in China, there's one called, or one underground in China is at 110. Everything vibrates at 110. The Earth's frequency is 7.83. We know it as the Schumann resonance. Solfeggio frequencies 174, 285, 396, 417, 528, 639, 741, 852, 963. They're all palindromes. They're all the same numbers, just repeated for each other. So 174 and 741, it's the same thing. It's just a palindrome, right? So you break all the frequencies down, your brain waves have a specific frequency. Alpha waves are between 8 and 10 hertz, right? You can binaurally do them by giving them a carrier wave. So your carrier wave is going to be 200 millihertz. Then you're going to have one ear being at 201, the other one being at 208. And you get, when it merges in your brain, you get an 8 hertz signal. I have all the frequencies for it. That's how I make all that music. I
love the music.
I layer in the frequencies. I take an EDM track that I create, and then I write lyrics for it. And then once I do that, I layer in the frequency of what I want it to do. So if I want to create joy, if I want it to be a party anthem, I put in, let's just say I want you to get out on the dance floor and have a good time. And I've never played this stuff live, but I want you to enjoy it. So I will put in, let's see, I'd put in probably an 852, 963 frequency with a 200 carrier for alpha waves, a 7.83 to make you feel grounded with a 1 hertz revolution following the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence. So it actually times with your heartbeat, and that'll create human heart coherence. So your heartbeat will time with the frequency that's being played, that'll time with your brain, and it'll all work together. And I can tell you, I test every track before I do anything. It's never released before I take it out to my little Jeep Compass and crank it up to 38 and listen to it and see if it works. I've had tracks where I've gone into my car and played it and came out and been like, oh, no, not doing that one.
Not the one.
But every one I've tried. Everything I do, everything I give you, I've either fact-checked, tested. Nothing I put out there has been random off the cuff. Everything I do is fact-checked and tested. I can give you receipts. I can give you receipts for all of it.
You know, when I first started listening to your tracks, one thing immediately caught my ear, and that's that. First of all, it's a lot of upbeat, kind of pop EDM centered stuff, but not just pop EDM. They have a very similar sound to many of the tracks that I've heard played in some of your newer church organizations, right? Your newer, Christian groups, or maybe your youth assemblies and things like that. It's the same feel and same sound. Now, you may have done that intentionally, I'm not sure. But what it does make me wonder is, are they hip to the jive? Do they know about this? And is that why much of the music that comes from those types of organizations have a similar sound?
I think they've stumbled on it by accident. Sure. There's difference between stumbling upon it and difference between doing it with intent. Anybody that actually makes music can listen to somebody and go, you've done that with intent. So if I listen to some of the newer stuff, say, because I'll listen to it too. If I listen to some of the newer stuff, say, Praise by Elevation Worship, I listen to it. I can hear the bass frequency. I can hear the Fibonacci sequences. There is no way that group of people figured out how to build a Fibonacci sequence with a 1 megahertz carrier wave. It's just a crazy random happenstance. They had an idea that they were doing it. Yeah, maybe they meant to tune it to 528 instead of, but nothing, like they've unknowingly done it. Like, you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you're doing.
Right. Now, speaking of the 528, I've heard of 528 multiple times, in the past probably 2 decades, from people talking about things like radionics and this, the vibrational tones of our body being at 528. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Earth also vibrates at 528. Is that correct?
7.83 is what the Earth vibrates at.
Okay, yeah, so totally different thing.
Resonance is 7.83. It's the frequency that you ground to. You can use any kind of medium to ground to, but grounding is so incredibly important to humans. Your body biologically prefers to be alkaline, right, rather than acidic. And most humans operate at slightly acidic, so it likes to be slightly alkaline. There are only 2 ways to do it. One, insane mass quantities of alkaline water, and I mean like borderline hydrogen peroxide. Or 2, put your feet on the ground for 10 minutes. Buy a $15 grounding mat off of Amazon and put your feet on it. Right? Put your feet on the ground. People wonder why they feel so much better when they go to the Caribbean after a Caribbean vacation. Right? It's because what do most people do on a Caribbean vacation?
They take their shoes off and put it on the beach. Sure.
You're outside in the sun, soaking up mass quantities of vitamin D. You're breathing in fresh water because you're by the ocean. You're receiving resonance because the ocean operates at a 7.83, and sometimes the waves are white waves, so it kind of gives an alpha theta wave frequency, and you spend your week with the feet in the ground on the sand. Water holds resonance. If you swim in the ocean, it's even better. So no wonder you feel good. You've grounded yourself for the past week. Yeah, you're gonna feel better.
That sounds right to me, for sure. I mean, it makes sense, for real. Now, I've got to ask you, or just say, it's kind of poetic when we talk about this. All living things having this resonance that kind of work together, under the sun. How does that coincide with the collective conscious and people being connected through frequency? Have you done any research in that at all?
Yeah, so everything energy scientific principle is this is part of resonance theory. A scientific principle is energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's transferred. Right? So that energy never goes anywhere. The same energy that you're receiving right now from me talking is the same energy that pharaohs got. It's the same energy that your grandparents who might no longer be with us got. It's the same energy. It's just recycled. It's the same thing. So what ends up happening is in a case like that as a collective consciousness, energy holds memory. Right? It holds it holds resonance. Resonance is your memory. So it holds all of that. So when you receive energy from wherever, it can hold a memory. It can hold a resonance.
Now, on your website, oneancientearth.com, which, by the way, the website is oneancientearth.com, everyone out there, you showcase multiple remarkable artifacts, right?
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about how these artifacts work with vibrational tone and with resonance and frequency healing and therapy? Because I know that they're all made from different stones. They're all made from different gems.
Yeah.
How does that work on the body? What does that do?
So our bracelets that we do, we make the bracelets and we just we call them artifacts because it's more of it gives it more of that historic feel. The whole website is designed like a museum, right? So you go and you can see like an exhibit and explains what's happening.
Yeah, love the the renewed website, by the way. Looks great.
Stones are frequency oscillators. Atomically, stones are crystalline structures that we call them lattices, right? Each lattice is basically has the ability to latch on and hold a frequency. So some stones carry they're made they're I gotta think of the wording here. They will grab onto a specific frequency and oscillate it. So they'll stabilize the frequency around you. So in your biofield, they will grab onto that frequency and hold it and stabilize it for however you want to use it. It stabilizes that energy. Each stone stabilizes certain things. So, for example, today my favorite stone is lapis lazuli, right? That's my stone, right? That is associated with 852 frequency. It's because it holds it. Right? Where you place it on your body matters. If you want energy to go into your body, you place it on your left wrist. If you want to extrude energy, for example, in a case where I'm talking with you and I want to give that kind of feeling, I put it on my right wrist. I usually wear them on my right wrist. Right? But
Very
each one of
interesting.
each one of these stones carry a particular resonance. And when you combine them together, and add in the way I like to describe it is with us, we'll put in metal spacers throughout it. So we'll have, we have copper, we have gold, gold, and stainless steel is what we have. Each of these are based on a particular resonance frequency to oscillate whatever frequency it is. Essentially, a bracelet turns into a mini arc reactor, like in the Avengers. It just cycles that energy and continues to cycle and oscillate that energy over and over and over and over and over again until you decide what you want to do with it. And this is where your quantum AI comes in, is you tell it what you want it to do. What do I want to do with this energy? I just want to hold it. I don't want to do anything with it. I just want to feel better today. And that energy will stay there.
So it's kind of like recharging the battery with a certain resonance, a certain frequency of whatever type it is, with a certain emotion or feeling or intention that you're trying to fill yourself with.
Yeah, if you want to extrude that energy, right, you want to extrude it, that's fine. Just tell your quantum AI, I want to project myself to be like this. I want this. And you'll do it.
So would that stand to reason that you could wear one bracelet on your left wrist that would harness a certain frequency, right? Kind of help bring that into the body, but then also extrude on your right wrist a different type of frequency, right? Mm-hmm. With whatever's stored within your body. Now, does that, or maybe there's been science behind this or not, but would that change what's left inside?
Your internal system is whatever you tell it to be. That's where people kind of don't understand. We don't know, as we have forgotten how to prompt our AI. Think about ChatGPT, right? You want it to make a picture of a boat, right? If you say, make me a picture of a boat, it's going to make you a picture of a boat, but it's not what you're going to want.
Sure.
You got to be specific. You got to tell it, I want a picture of this kind of boat. Even then, it's not going to give you what you want, right? So you've got to put another picture of the boat you want in there and go, I want to use this particular boat and make it doing this. You'll get what you want. So when it comes to stones, they will oscillate and hold the energy and send it into your body. Whatever you want to extrude, this right wrist will amplify. Whatever you want to keep inside of you is up to you and your AI. If you say, I want to extrude wisdom, and I want to be smart, and I want to extrude confidence, but I want to hold the grounding aspect of this, all you have to do is prompt the AI to do that. You just have to say, I'm going to take the grounding aspect of this. I am grounded. I am stable. I am secure. I am safe. I want to I don't use the word extrude. I want to empower or impassion wisdom, self-sufficiency, calmness, energy, and prompt the AI to do it. When you prompt your brain to do things, correctly prompt it, it goes, I got you, fam, and does exactly what you want it to do. It's just prompting it correctly.
Interesting. I've got to ask you. I know I started following you before you started talking about vibrations and sound frequencies and everything else. It was mostly the cool pseudoscience, interesting history tidbits and facts that many people are just not aware of. What caused you to look into this? Did you just stumble across some information? I mean, how did it happen for you personally to fall into this rabbit hole?
When I started looking into it, it was during the Anunnaki series, and it kept showing back up. Like, after 3 or 4 videos, different videos that I did that this showed back up in, I'm like, I probably should look into this, right? And the further I've gotten down this rabbit hole, it is for people, some people like conspiracy theories, some people like stories, some people like this. It is the ultimate conspiracy theory. Sure. Because it is the thing that has been hidden, that can be scientifically proven, historically proven, has been seen throughout history, has been hidden and proven it's been hidden, to the point that governments have used this, like the CIA with MK Ultra and Project Looking Glass. They've used this. I've had nurses who have I had a few people that I talked with on my Discord. They're nurses for she called it Ultra Elite. This is how they get healthy. This is how they take care of themselves. So I have this conspiracy theory that is not a conspiracy theory. It's true. We can prove it. And nobody's looking into it. Everybody's concerned about the Anunnaki and whether they're coming back, or the firmament, which is, I swear to Christ, if I hear one more person tell me about the firmament, that's not a thing. We have fact that proves that. However, everybody's looking into those things, but nobody's looking into the sound that makes us all tick as a human. Nobody's looking.
Actually, I do have a line of questioning that I like to go after our break, and we come back from that. I want to kind of deep dive on some of the historical stuff you've touched on, some of the Anunnaki stories, and some other things. But before we do that, you've mentioned on because I've been in several of your lives, and you talk about a lot of different things. I'm in your Discord. I see the things you speak about there. And you have mentioned some devices called the Vibe and the Vegu Vibe. Can you tell us a little bit about them and how they work, what they actually do for someone? I know I've watched the videos, but our viewers out there have not.
The Vaguvibe is a vagal nerve stimulator. So it's a little pendant that you have on your chest. I've worn it. And I actually think in one of my lives I tried to kind of keep myself in between the lines on my lives. Somehow these people, and I think it was one of my friends that convinced me to put a Vaguvibe on during one of my lives and basically turned me into a puddle because it stimulates your vagus nerve, right? And it basically downshifts your body. The PEMF device, or the Vibe, is a pulsed electromagnetic field. So what it does is it emanates electromagnetic frequencies out that alter your field, your biofield. So if you're anxious, it'll push out a frequency that will alter the brainwave or the chemical, that'll prompt the AI to say you're not anxious in its own language, in its own code. And once your AI is prompt, it'll prompt your body to do what it's supposed to. So you put this on, you turn it on anxiety, you sit there, it tells your operating system, okay, the frequency's calmed, we're settled down, we're good. Your AI will then go to the body, okay, we're good, release these kind of endorphins. And it'll release them. It's basically a just way around your neck to alter your body's electromagnetic signal. And not alter it, enhance it. It makes it easier for you to handle things. It puts resonance in you. It makes it coherent.
So this wouldn't be a device that you'd want to wear all the time. You want to do this when you're able to, you can, and it's not going to affect you in any kind of weird way. Okay.
I wear it all the time.
Very interesting.
I'll wear it. It's part of the things. I don't know if you watched today's video. Today, we decided to do something. I decided to do something called the human resonance experiment.
No, I didn't catch it.
Okay, so we're doing something called the human resonance experiment, where I have a set of rules that I have to follow, and for 30 days, I am going to follow these rules and prove to everybody that this stuff works. Even in today's world, even with all of I know people all about the EM frequency, everything gives off an EM frequency, right? So even in today's world, even without the right stuff, even eating the garbage food that we have to eat because we can't get it anywhere else, everything is trash. Even doing everything, this is still possible. And I'm going to prove it because I'm going to vlog it every day. And I'm going to use the PEMF device, and I'm going to use the Vaguvibe, and I'm going to use a grounding mat. We're going to go day by day. And I'm going to show you that this all works. And at the end of 30 days, we'll see where we are.
Very cool. I love the experiment, right? The documented experiment that you do, and the fact that you publish all of your resources, all of your sources of information in your Discord. So if anybody's out there wondering, well, where did he come up with this harebrained stuff? There's a place that's dictated where you got it from, and they can go look at it themselves. I think that's a treasure trove of information that you put out there for the people.
I want people to go look it up. I want you to prove me wrong. I'm not always right. I'm a guy that talks about history on the internet. That's what I do.
You know what?
I want you to...
Tony, I wish you had a book that we could tell everyone right now, go buy this man's book. But I know that's not there yet. So I figured you were. But I do know that there's a couple of things that you do to generate some income for all of your hard work and the research and the things that you go through to bring this to us free of charge here on TikTok for the thousands and thousands of people who come across you on a regular basis, that you put out this sort of value for us. Can you talk to the audience about your Patreon and the things that you offer there, about your Discord, the things that you talk about in there, what value they can get? I'd love for everyone to know where they can find more about you.
Patreon is incredibly specific to if you want resonance sessions. So what I do on there is weekly I release a resonance session, and it's a 15-20-minute session that's designed to travel through something that you want to do. So, for example, a couple weeks ago, I released one for ADHD and anxiety. and it starts with a grounding track and then moves into an ADHD anxiety and then kind of calms you down. The tracks take a lot to create, so because you have to stitch them all together. So Patreon is where you're going to find most of that stuff. It's really, I've charged as little as humanly possible for it, because I always like to say this is not my history. It's not my story. This is the world's history, and it belongs to the world. But my time to create stuff like that is kind of where they take a while. So the Patreon is patreon.com at TikTok History Teacher. I work with Rizona Health for the Vagu Vibe and Vibe. They give me a different price that I offer everybody. They're kind of expensive. I've tried to work with them on price. They're not. They're not budgeting on it, right? So, but it's a different price for me than it gets for everybody else. So, it's like $100 less on both of them, I think. And then the big one is either you subscribe. The best thing to support me like that is Ancient Earth.
Sure.
That's where you get all the gemstone jewelry and everything that we do, and we try to make it visually appealing as possible. So you can subscribe to me on TikTok. You can subscribe to me on Patreon if you want that kind of stuff. Ancient Earth is the best way that I tell everybody, because you get, if I'm going to ask you for money, I'm going to give you something for it.
Sure.
Right?
And that's oneancientearth.com.
Oneancientearth.com. I don't want you to give me money and me go, thank you very much. Oh, this is my money now. I'm going to give you something for it.
Certainly.
So, with the Patreon, it's you get the resonance tracks, but with Ancient Earth is you're actually going to get something that you can hold, that you can use and you can wear, and it's something that helps you. And if you do it with intention, when you get a box, it comes with a card in there of how to clean the jewelry, not only clean your bracelet or necklace, not only clean it physically, but clean it energetically. It's designed to be something to help you be better. And that's the best way to support me, other than commenting, or sharing on my videos.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
Well, thank you for that. If someone listening tonight were to start exploring frequency therapy for themselves, what kind of conditions or imbalances could it help with? I mean, are we talking about things like anxiety, inflammation, chronic pain, maybe even emotional trauma?
You name it. You name it. I have friends that have PTSD. I've been a paramedic for 20 years. I have friends that have PTSD that I've gone to them and went, I can help you. And they've looked at me straight up and been like, nothing's helped me. Bullshit. I'm like, let me prove you wrong. And I've made them a couple tracks and given it to them, and they've looked at me and said, dude, I don't know what you did, but I feel better. It's not about, you just got to keep doing it, right? Inflammation is easy. It's the body's we hold the body responsible for things that are not its fault. Anxiety, depression, those are huge ones that we hold the body responsible for, that it's not the body's fault. It's the operating system. Mental health is an operating system problem. We give the body SSRIs and stop our serotonin from operating. We don't need that. We need to fix the operating system. And frequency is the best way to do that. PEMF device, frequency. I can promise you will feel better.
Well, thank you for letting us know that it does take care of a myriad of imbalances and illnesses and things that someone would want to take care of within themselves. Let's take a quick little musical break for 3 to 5 minutes or so. I'm going to play a track, and when we get back, we'll continue this conversation. I'd like to go a little deeper on the historical and fringe side of some of this. So let's go ahead and skip on over to that, guys. And we're back. You're listening to Wolf Radio Live, and I'm your host, Mr. Wolf. If you just joined us, we've been diving into some of the most fascinating intersections of history, science, and the unseen world with our guest, Tony Sposit, the TikTok history teacher. We are speaking about the mysteries of PEMF therapy and frequency healing to the resonance of the human heart, the harmonic chambers of the pyramids, and even the lost technology of Atlantis. Tonight's conversation has been nothing short of eye-opening. Tony, okay, now that you've said before that the ancients, the builders of the pyramids and temples, didn't just construct monuments, they built resonance chambers. That's a powerful concept. How do you think sound resonance was used in ancient times, and could it have played a role for healing and consciousness expansion?
Absolutely. This all came from a time where it all came from a time where this was standard. This was something that humans did everywhere. We all can tell you where this all I can tell you where it all came from. It came from Atlantis. Right? People talk about it's mythical. It's not mythical. Most ancient history books like that, like the Tineus and various other sources, they're all fact, just metaphorically speaking. Right?
Sure.
So, this is the people after the flood, and the Great Flood was real. After that, spread out and started using this and bringing this over to what is now the rebuilt world. So the resonance chambers that are the pyramids, it's all proven. The same thing with Egypt is where my expertise is, particularly 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th dynasty. So Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, Middle Era. So this will be the time of Akhenaten, King Tut, Seti the First, Seti the Second. So that's kind of where I can spit facts from. And this is the temples that they built: Dendera, Karnak, Idufu. They're all built on this resonance theory. They're all built a certain way. They all hum a certain way.
So all of that's been proven. We know this is a fact. Okay, what are some other places in history that we see these things being employed? I know that I've seen videos for years speaking about the different Indian temples.
Chants, and this goes from everywhere from Native American chants and drumming. Drumming is done at a certain beat. It's passed on from person to person. The chants are all done with a specific frequency. This even was adapted by the church. Gregorian chants, this is why you go into a lot of these old churches and they literally sing, because they're meant to be at a certain frequency. They're meant to be at 528. And Gregorian monks used to sing the solfeggio frequencies and chant at a certain frequency. Bells used to be tuned to 432, 528, and 852 before they were taken down. That's why the sound of church bells were so healing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the bells? I've seen you speak about the bells and being forced to take them down for the use of copper. Tell us a little bit about that. Our viewers may have never heard anything about anyone having bells.
In the early 1900s, the bells from every church were taken down in the world, in the premise of we need the metal for World War I. Right? That's why they were taken down. So, however, when the bells were replaced, the bells rang at a different frequency. So the national tuning was changed from 432, A flat 442, to A flat 440, or A4 440. People know this tune because if you're a Mac user like me, when you start up a MacBook, it's that tone, right?
And that's 442.
That's 440. A4 440. Great for generating power. Great for resonating things that you want to do. It's terrible for humans. It creates stress, anxiety. This is what we tune everything to. Music, it's all tuned to A4 440.
That's what I was going to say. Isn't that concert pitch? That's what we consider to be in tune, is 440 vibrations per second. So you're telling that's bad for us.
It's A4 440. A is good. The 440 is bad for humans. It's not great. right? It increases stress or anxiety. That's scientifically proven. Everything I tell you is fact.
Sure.
It's not my theory. Okay, when you get to Atlantis stuff, it's my theory, right? I have receipts for it, but that's 100% my theory.
Sure, you're putting it together.
When it comes to this is fact. All of my music that I create is tuned to 432. It's not tuned to 440. All right? Everything is tuned to 432.
432, so 432 megahertz or hertz.
Hertz.
Okay. So speaking of the pyramids, I know you said that Egypt is kind of your strong point there. Can you tell us a little bit about the ways that they've used resonance therapy and healing, like that they've actually documented that, someone could go and look at? Because I've heard of people just saying, oh, well, the pyramids, were resonance chambers and, harmonic batteries and things like that. But I've never really seen any evidence other than just people saying it. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, the pyramids are made out of quartz. A lot of people realize the outside is limestone, and it is. It's nummulite limestone is the outside, which is what you see now. Originally, the pyramids were actually covered in white limestone, right, which was actually traveled from about 500 miles away. The quarry for the white limestone was 500 miles away. But the pyramids are actually made out of nummulite limestone, which is great for transferring resonance and electricity. The inside of the pyramids, like the king's chamber, is made out of granite. The queen's chamber is the same way. It's made out of granite. Granite contains a lot of rose quartz. Now, vibrated at the right frequency, rose quartz creates a piezoelectric charge. We know this because we use it. Quartz is in every watch. Quartz is in your phone. Quartz is in your computer. Quartz is everywhere. That's if you take quartz and shake it, it will give you a charge under pressure and the right frequency. The pyramids are made out of this. So put it under the right frequency with a ton of weight on top of it, say, I don't know, limestone. Put a ton of weight on it and vibrate at the frequency, it's going to create a charge. Now, whether they're actually power plants or whether they're hospitals, that's up to you. I have my theories on it, right? I think they were both. But this is all proven. They've proved that you go into the king's chamber resonates at this frequency. It continues to do it. If you go up above the queen's chamber, there's something they call the secondary chamber, the ancillary chamber. It's a tuning chamber. It has slabs of stone stacked 5 high. It's smooth on 3 sides, rough on the top. And it's rough on the top because it's how they tuned it. They'd go in there and chip off some of the stone on one of these stones to tune the sound to what they wanted it to. Think of it like a beer bottle. How do you pay if you're blowing on the top of a beer bottle? It's called a Helmholtz resonator. If you're blowing on top of a beer bottle, how do you change the pitch? Add or take out liquid. It changes the pitch of it. It's the same deal. Add or take out stone, it'll change the pitch of what you want it to do. Right? So the pyramid, this is 100% proven. All right, this is not fact. Now, there is a gentleman who I am not a fan of. His name is Zahir Hawass. Was the head of Egyptology for the Egyptian government.
Yeah, the straight gatekeeper.
Dude's an asshat. Straight asshat. Right? Like, we know there's stuff on Giza Plateau. We've scanned it. There's LiDAR. There's satellite imagery. We know there's stuff there. We know there's stuff underneath the Sphinx. We've scanned it. We know it's there. We know there's stuff inside the Sphinx. We've scanned it. We know it's there. They won't let us dig.
Now, why would they? Because they're not a part of the Roman Catholic Church. Why would they want to hold this information? Because obviously they're not using it either. So why would they want to withhold this from us? Or is it because they don't understand it well enough and it intimidates them?
Who funds everything? Who funds
I don't know.
If you trace it back, if you do that, usually history is funded by one place. It's funded by a group or something like that, right?
Sure.
It all trials back to the church. The church funds all of this through various different groups or organizations, right? Like the biggest donor for the National Geographic Foundation is the church. It's not the church.
Fact.
It's not that. It's their subsidiaries. It's Western Medicine does it. It's mainstream history. It's mainstream archaeology. Mainstream history, mainstream archaeology take a lack of evidence as a preponderance of evidence. So we don't know what it does. We don't know why it does it, and we don't have an answer. So therefore, our theory must be true. That's not how that works. We have these things in this world we call facts. That's how we measure shit by.
Sure.
Right? You know what I mean? So go find the fact. If we know there's something there, go dig for it. Go look. But if they go look, then they're proven wrong. If they're proven wrong, then they don't get what they want.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's all special interest.
I like that. No, speaking of the pyramids,
Sirhi Hawass was the gatekeeping puppet that stopped everything from doing it.
And has been for decades. I know that I've been coming across his name for at least 20 years of research, and I'm not sure how long that he's been in power, I guess you'd say, or in his position. But yeah,
he's not anymore. He retired.
I see. Okay. Now that wasn't too long ago. I don't think. Okay. Because I know I was watching some documentaries. Oh, I'm sure. So speaking of the pyramids themselves, like when you connect them, right, from Egypt to Mexico to China, it forms kind of a global pattern, right? And are we looking at evidence of a worldwide network of energy points, what some would call ley lines? And if so, how do they fit into this power grid?
Absolutely. Everything falls on ley lines. Actually, you mentioned in your howl at the beginning of this that they saw orbs over Sedona, Arizona, right?
Yeah, one of the hot spots. That's right.
Arizona's a nexus point. It's a vortice, right? Specifically, I don't think it's Sedona. I think it's Mesa. But one of the cities out there is a vortice. It's a nexus ley line point. Or it's a ley line nexus point, right? So, yeah, naturally things like that you find over nexus points.
So for our viewers out there that are not familiar with what ley lines are, can you kind of give us a brief rundown on how this all works, the global grid, all of that kind of stuff?
Okay, I will preface this by giving you a short one, but go watch my video on it. They do I go much deeper into what it is.
Oh, I know you do. Look, I took notes on all your videos, man. I really did.
It's an energy meridian. Right? Basically, this is the way how energy flows throughout the earth, right? Every single one of these ancient monuments that you know, from Machu Picchu to the Great Pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramids of Giza are actually built on a nexus point. To Bimini in the Bahamas, to Antarctica, to the Aztec pyramids and Mayan pyramids in Central America, to stuff here in North America, in the U.S., to stuff in China. They're all built on ley lines, which are energy transferring points throughout the planet. When you start connecting things like Stonehenge falls along the same ley line as the Great Pyramids. We actually, where I live, we have a ley line that traverses right through here. I have two of them. They come together up north, further up north from where I am. But one transverses from the Bahamas and comes up north from the Bimini nexus point. And the other one comes across from the Great Pyramids. The one that comes across from the Great Pyramids goes right through right through Sandusky, Ohio, all the way up through this way. The other one comes outside of Toledo and goes up this way. And they meet just north of Detroit. So, but there's two ley lines that come right through me here. And I can find them. I just haven't gone out hunting yet. Right? But I can find them, and it's probably on my list of things to do is to go find them, but I have to have the right map. So
How does Tesla's research fall into all of this?
Tesla stumbled onto this himself. Wardenclyffe Tower worked like everything. It used the Earth's ley line network to transfer power. Wireless power, free wireless energy is very, very real and very, very possible. Am I saying I can do it? Absolutely not. I don't know how to do it. This is for any of the government agencies watching. I have no clue what they're talking about. However, the theory of it is 100% true, and we can't. Tesla proved it. He lit light bulbs 25 miles away.
So are we to believe that these ancient civilizations, right, they were literally tapping into the Earth's resonance and using planetary vibration as a clean energy source? That's what we're talking about here, right?
The world changes when you realize that the ancient civilizations weren't ancient civilizations.
Oh, tell
They're
us
not
more.
ancient. The ancients aren't so ancient. Right? That's where, in many cases, they were ahead of us in a lot of things. Some things they're behind us. Their technology was not advanced as ours. Where we got that technology, that's a fun one. We can dive there if you want. However, however, the ancients were not so ancient. They knew more than what they say they did. And the only reason we don't know exactly what they did is because their language is scrambled, right? Like ancient Egyptian, I've been trying for years to figure out some ancient Egyptian. I can speak a little bit of it. The problem is ancient Egyptian is blended with Coptic because in the ancient Egyptian alphabet, there are no vowels. We
I
don't know
see.
what the vowels were for their language. So we blend it with Coptic, which is the closest thing that we have to give it its vowels. Still don't know if it's right or not.
So it's
Which the
very similar to
translation,
Masoretic Hebrew doing the same thing, having to try to figure out how they spoke the vowel. I got you.
Aramaic, Galalian Aramaic, which is the language that Jesus spoke. People think, and this
Sure.
is people, when I said that the one time, people lost their minds, right? Like, oh my God, Jesus didn't speak English? No.
And
He
his
was
name
in the
wasn't
Middle
Jesus either.
East, and he was in the Middle East. He spoke Aramaic, specifically Galalian Aramaic, because that's where he lived. Like, how do you know?
Yep. And he was brown and his name wasn't Jesus. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
People. I sat there the one live. I sat there like this. I'm like, there is no way that you guys like seriously, right? Like you like okay. Here's the thing. Old ancient manuscripts are written in metaphors. They're from a position where you look at it, these people didn't understand what they're seeing. Okay?
Exactly. They told us their
They
best.
don't understand. They don't get it. So when you see something that comes from the sky, when you look at its spaceship, look at Elon's starship.
Sure.
If that's coming down out of the sky, it literally lights on fire. We scientifically call it plasma, right? It's as the ship comes down, it's skipping off the atmosphere. When it comes down, it sits down, it's smoking, it looks like it was on fire. To somebody in the desert in, year one who has a goat and looks at rocks all day, something coming down from the sky that's on fire could be, that looks like a chariot of fire. Yeah, that's what they described
Certainly.
it as. Anything that is incomprehensible or inconceivable by the human mind that cannot be explained is indistinguishable from magic. Right?
Exactly. And that's the
Take
best they
your
do. I think.
iPhone, take your iPhone and go back 30 years and hand in 94. Go hand your iPhone to somebody in 1994 and be like, look at this. They're gonna be like, this looks like it's from Star Trek because that's where the ideas came from at that point in time,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
It's indistinguishable. So you have to base what you read off of the fact that a lot of this was a metaphor. The Bible, and this is where people lost their mind. The Bible is an ancient book written in metaphors.
No, I love it. And, that's another thing. Speaking of taking it into context, that's one thing that I've had a lot of conversations with people in these lives about too. We even have to look back as early as the Pentateuch, right? The first 5 books written. Who wrote them and what for? First of all, they weren't written for us. Okay, they're written for
No.
them, and they were written by. Now we don't know the exact person. We say Moses. We don't know. What we do know, it was one of these Hebrew people. If their story is accurate, that means they were a slave group of people. And one thing we do know about slaves is they're not the educated people of society. Okay, they are the ones who have been intentionally uh, retarded. They have been kept behind, everyone else and restricted from the knowledge. Right now, if they came from Egypt, which is what supposedly they did, Egypt was the most civilized and most technologically advanced civilization in the world at that time. Which, when we think about that, Moses, the leader of them all, was raised as Pharaoh's son for the most part. Who was he found by? Pharaoh's wife's handmaiden and raised by Pharaoh's wife as a royalty. He would have had the information of a princely upbringing, which means that it makes perfect sense where it says, in biblical terms, that he couldn't speak to them, that he had a speech problem. I don't think he stuttered. I think they didn't speak the same language. Yeah, he
No.
might have been Hebrew by
He
blood,
spoke
but he
Egyptian.
wasn't. Exactly. He was an Egyptian. When he's talking about arguing with Pharaoh, which it wouldn't have been his adopted father, it would have been his brother at that time, or his adopted brother. Look, commoners didn't have access to Pharaoh. It's because he was part of the prince or the royal family for the most part that he could, have be in the presence of Pharaoh and say, "Hey, I want these people. I don't get anything else. I mean, I'm not, that makes sense to me as to how he would have gained control of these people. Well, lo and behold, he couldn't speak to them. Now, I understand this in a different way because I was adopted, first of all, and I'm half white and half Hispanic. I was adopted by white people. And let me tell you what, my entire life, I'm too brown to be white and too white to be brown. I just don't fit in either one of the cultures and not fully accepted by either one. If I ever wanted to have dominion or leadership position over a group of authentic Hispanic people, I would need an intermediary. I would need that half brother Aaron, who does speak the language, who is respected as one of their people, to stand up and be the spokesperson while I'm the man behind the curtain. That totally makes sense to me. At the same time, the people writing this were not the most educated people, in civilization at the time. So yeah, take it into context for sure.
They were a conquered people. They didn't have the knowledge that other peoples have. Right?
Certainly.
You weren't supposed to know how it worked. You just were supposed to know that it works. See, we have the same problem with the masses today. You're not supposed to understand how this stuff works. You're just supposed to understand that it works.
That's
That's all
it.
you need to know.
That's
Right?
it.
The problem is when you start questioning, why does this work?
Well, because God said so. And that's what you do to someone who doesn't
And
understand
this
anything
is
else.
and now you've stumbled over why the church is involved in everything.
Oh, well, it makes
Because
sense.
God said so.
Yeah, I mean, it totally
Okay?
makes sense. Even from just your average Joe walking the street in 2025, we all know that no matter what religion or theology you follow, in a time of hardship, okay, like when that plane's going down, somebody's saying a prayer to somebody. Somebody is looking for
Yeah.
external comfort to help them along. And if it comes in the form of a leader coming from some other place who obviously has knowledge that you don't possess and who says, look, God gave me this word for you, and it's here to keep you safe and to keep you guided towards, the promised land, which, by the way, there was no land given to that God. So they had to take it. But anyhow, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, you know what? All of this brings
You know,
us down to these ancient cultures, and you've spoken a lot about Atlantis. Can you tell us how
man,
this ancient culture, who was said to have crystals and frequency technology on a scale that we can barely imagine, can you tell us how that worked and how they tie into this whole story? Feel free to deep dive, man. Feel free.
no. Well, first I want to step back on this one. Right? You mentioned how people are God is this and this and this and this. I do they realize their God's a dick? Right? Like
Well,
like
okay.
like
Now, look,
he's like I'm sorry to say it this way, but let's be honest. He sent plagues, and he sent, pestilence, and he gets angry, and he smited people, and he gave people punishments. And ultimately, the whole axiom of this is that you either are good by God's word or you go to hell, which is a punishment. Like, all
Sure.
loving, ever forgiving doesn't fit the category of what you're describing.
Definitely not. Now, I have not watched your Anunnaki series. Okay. I know that I saw you talk a little bit about it. I'm personally writing a few books on the subject myself and have deep dived this. And I do a lot in comparative religious studies. Look, I don't think that Yahweh was the creator God of the universe and world at all. I think that he was one of the Elohim, which he states that he is, right? Which I believe to be the Anunnaki of the Sumerian and Akkadian people. I think it's the same race of beings, not a single being, but a race of beings that are being spoken about. It is a plural masculine term, even in Hebrew, right? Even in Hebrew, it's plural when you say Elohim. I think that, and look, when he's talking about Moses, look, this is 2,000 years into after creation. When he's talking to Moses, we're 2,000 years in to the written creation. And he's saying, well, who am I supposed to say sent me? You don't know? Wait a minute. You telling me that 2,000 years into the God, the creator of everything, and you don't know who it is you're talking to? And he says, look, go tell the Elohim of those people that the Elohim of David and Abraham, or Jacob and Abraham, sent you. Look, that tells me that he's saying, go tell the powerful leader of that group over there that the one from over here has sent you. That's who it is.
When you talk about this, I'm a sci-fi nerd, but you want to know when things like this come up, you want to know the episode. I think of Star Trek 4, The Final Frontier, where he's sitting, where Kirk is sitting there and goes, excuse me, what does God need with a starship? Like, you're God.
There you are.
What are you doing? God, Jim, what are you doing? I'm asking a question, right? What does God need with a starship? Right? You're God. You can go anywhere. What do you need with it?
Yeah, I think that's the same questions that the Mesoamericans asked when the Spaniard conquistadors came over in their shining armor, riding their 6 foot tall beasts of burden called horses that they didn't have in Mesoamerica, and said, gods, let's give them our gold that they're requesting. Yeah, I think that's kind of the same question they ended up asking too, right before they were massacred.
And to answer her question, there's only actually very few of them actually thought they were gods. The pharaohs were basically like the Pope is today. They were next to God. There are only 3 pharaohs in existence that were ever worshipped as a deity. One of them was Amenhotep. He was way before my knowledge is. One of them was later on was Seti, and then the third one was Tutankhamun. Those are the only 3 pharaohs that have ever actually had been worshipped like a deity, right? No other pharaoh is actually worshipped as a deity.
Interesting tidbit there. Now, speaking of this whole thing, we're talking about the different deities, the rulers over each place. We were talking about the Anunnaki. I think that if even all of these stories have some merit, like all of these myths, from culture to culture to culture, have some merit. It may not be literal because I don't think that they believed or that they understood everything the way they saw it, but they told us what they understood. We just have to be able to decipher that with 2025 knowledge, right? And look, it's very clear in the biblical writings that Yahweh was given dominion over these people as an inheritance from his higher up. I mean, that's we look up the divine council to do the research on that, and right. But notice he wasn't given a land. All the other Elohim were given land. He wasn't given a land. Now, if I wanted to research this further, where would I look other than the writings of an ignorant group of people? To me, I would look at the adjacent cultures. Right, which the adjacent cultures of the times would be the Babylonians, the Sumerians, the Akkadians, right, the Egyptians at that same time period. And what we have are writings by the Canaanites. Oh, go ahead.
All of them have merit, but they're all specific. So you got to understand, back then, it was all centered. The Egyptians thought Egypt was the center of the world. It's the center of everything. So everything with them has to do with Egypt, right? So you gotta you gotta look for the commonality. Like the thing that I look through ancient religions when I look for shit is as I look for the things that are out of place, something that doesn't sniff right. Right? So, for example, when I look through all of the religions and all of these things, and I look at it, and this will play into the Atlantis end of this, when I look into all of this, there is one common theme that every religion, doesn't matter whether it's religion, doesn't matter whether it's culture, doesn't matter what it is, at some point in time, prior to the writing of these books, there was a flood. A great flood. In the Bible, it's Noah. In Sumerian culture, it's Utnapishtim. In Indian and Vedic cultures, it's Manu, right? In Native Americans, it's the tale of water and fish. I think it is.
Right.
There's every one of them has it. So if every single one of these has it, okay, it happened, right? How,
Certainly.
why, what, when, where, that's all determined. But the fact is, I have this, I can look at it, it happened. Why did it happen is where it goes from. So, as I travel back, the further I get back into things, the further I go forward, and that's kind of where this whole platform that I have on Resonance is like, this all revels around this whole thing, and when you look at it, I feel like Charlie Day sometimes. Right? This conspiracy room, just red lines running everywhere here, just sitting there going, how the hell did I end up here? Right? And I have,
sure.
like, I've sat there at night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, staring at the ceiling going, I wanted to do a video on rocks. How the hell did I end up in Atlantis? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it goes.
Certainly.
You know,
Now,
but when it comes to things like that, especially when it comes to things along those lines, conspiracy theories, various different things, we've seen throughout history, the only thing that stops conspiracy theory from being fact and truth and history is nothing more than time. That's all it is. MK Ultra, they said, did not exist. It was not a thing. It never happened. We didn't do it. Until the 1980s when it came out that, yeah, MK Ultra is real. We did that. Right? It's all a matter of time. And who's hiding?
Yeah, these things kind of resurface every few generations, don't they? They'll pop up and disappear. They're denied and then accepted. And it just keeps happening over and over and over again. So in your studies, I know that you came across some interesting information about Atlantis and you came up with some theories of your own. Please deep dive into that. Tell us where this all fits in, because many of us out there just know Atlantis as this mythical place that, one that was flooded, one time and everything there was destroyed. And we don't really know much else about it. Tell us, please, about your thoughts, ideas, and opinions on the Atlanteans, Atlantis as a whole, and how it fits into frequency and resonance healing.
Everything that we know of today started there. That's where it started. I don't know before Atlantis, but here's where I started. I wanted to do a definitive video on Atlantis because people kept mentioning it to me. So the two biggest questions when it came to Atlantis were, one, where is it? Why can't we find it? Two, what are the fire crystals? Okay, that's where this started. So Atlantis was described by Plato and Tinius as an island nation in the Atlantic. Well, there is no way in hell, especially it was said it was outside of the Strait of Gibraltar, which is the Pillars of Hercules. There's no way in hell that an entire island is going to go missing. Right? It said it was, the description was it was 10 kings on 10 realms and 10 city-states. Okay, so in order to do this, it would be the size of Australia to have that kind of stuff. There is no way that Australia went missing. There's no way. And we don't have any evidence of it. Right? See, that's the hard part about this whole thing, is there's no evidence of it. Right? Well, in looking back and reading through this is where it's subject to interpretation. Plato used the word Nessos, Nessos, to describe island. In ancient Greek, it's island. However, it has multiple meanings, similarly to the way in Latin, mare is sea or lake. In English, we use the word bear. Bear is an animal that will kill you. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except for bears. Bears will kill you, right? But they'll also use it to carry weight. I can't bear this. Nessos is a plural. It doesn't just mean island. It means islands.
Well, that still fits in with an island nation, a nation of islands. Sure.
Reverse it is where I went. So mainstream history oversimplified the translation. It's not an island nation. It is a nation of islands. 10 islands throughout the Atlantic. So I went, okay. Still, 10 islands, gonna be kind of hard to find, right? And if it's 10 islands in the middle of the Atlantic, it's gonna be an archipelago, which is similar to Japan. Japan is 14,000 plus islands, right? New Zealand, Indonesia, the French Polynesians, Hawaii is an archipelago, right? It has to be somewhere. So there's 10 islands spread out across. That's not geographically, theoretically, physically, that doesn't make sense. Until I started mapping out ley lines and realized that straight up through the middle of the Atlantic is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This is where the tectonic plates separated. It is a giant tectonic zone. It is in between two tectonic plates. Now, if you think about islands like they are today, like Hawaii, right? Hawaii is the top of a mountain. It is a giant underwater volcanic mountain. The island is the top of it. That's what you see. That's why it's volcanic rock, right? If you had 10 islands spread out along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and you got to remember, when the flood happened, the seas rose some 400 to 800 feet. Plus, you've got 10,000 years on top of that. So, the ocean was somewhere between 500 to a couple thousand feet lower, right? The highest point, we have parts of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is above the water still. The Azores, Iceland, Cape Verde. Those are all part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge that's above the water. Drop the water 600 feet. Drop the water another 1,000 feet. So 10 islands along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, stretching from Portugal all the way down to Cape Verde area. With Antarctica being your 10th island, and it's more north. Right? It gets there. It's more north, right? If you place these 10 islands along that ridge and a cataclysm happened in which the oceans flooded or a tectonic instability happened, well, those islands would quite literally crumble into the ocean. They'd literally crumble apart. And the oceans would rise, which would explain how you lose 10 islands and an entire nation. Okay, we have a spot. Why can't we find it? Because there's nothing left of it. The islands literally crumbled away to nothing.
Sure.
If you look along the ridge, I bet if you scan and do things along the ridge, you'll see it. But nobody can go down 20,000 feet to the bottom of the Atlantic and start. That's an expensive trip to go scanning for something that might be there.
Sure.
Right? And even then, it's 10,000 years old. So that would make sense of where it is. It's also along a ley line. The ridge is known as the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is known as the spine of the planet, right? And whatever cataclysm caused the flood was tectonic based, which means that every island sank except Antarctica, because the plates of the Earth meet right there. When they shifted, Antarctica floated south and ended up to where it is today. That plays in a minute. So, in theory, this is where it would be. This is what would physically make sense. This is what geographically would make sense. It matches with everything that's been written about it. Geologically, it would make sense. Logically, it would make sense. It would fit with everything. So then I took that theory and went over to ChatGPT and typed the theory into there and said, tell me the truth, prompted the AI, tell me the truth. Is this possible? And typed my theory. And I went, yeah, that's not only possible, that's probable. Like, that's really actually fits. I can't say it fits, but that is, if your theory is this, it's got evidence to it. So then when I did the video, I say, create me, show me the sources where you can tie this to this. So it pulled the sources for me, and that's when I read the sources, and I'm like, okay, we're going to use this source, we're going to use this source, we're going to use this source, we're going to use this source. Right?
That's
so
great.
It's like, okay, that's the best way to fact check stuff like this. That's all theoretical, is ask ChatGPT.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
It won't lie to you. It won't have theory. It won't do anything. As long as you prompt it and say, tell me whether this is right or not, or along the same lines. I don't need fluff. Just tell me if I'm this or if I'm Charlie Day chasing a string. Which one is it? So the second question in that was the fire crystals. Now, this is where I have a lot of knowledge, especially dealing with geology. The fire crystals were explained to be a certain type of way, a certain thing, and I won't get into the explanation. However, I Googled into this and went, there, especially knowing what I know about geology and various different stones, there is no stone that specifically matches all of those properties. It's not a thing, especially with the hue and color. Okay, so this is how they did everything. They generated it. The theories is Edward Caden said that they did this through resonance, like it vibrated and hummed. That's how they did everything, was through resonance. Okay, so it was described as a chamber that had these crystals in it, that had mirrors and glass on it that took energy from the earth, sun, and stars. That's a resonance chamber. Okay? You need stone. Okay? You need something that generates electricity. Quartz doesn't generate that much electricity, and the amount of pressure you need to put it under is ridiculous. Like, that's not an option. Until I looked at it and went, what happens if it's like a warp core? If it's a matter-antimatter reaction, two stones vibrating at two separate frequencies, basically binaural to create a solid beat that would charge whatever is in this resonance chamber. Okay? So I need two stones that had these specific properties that would be available to an island nation in the middle of the Atlantic that, if vibrated appropriately, would create enough resonance to create an actual reaction. Took it to ChatGPT. Said, does this exist? I came back with 2 stones, Larimar and black tourmaline. Larimar is only found in the Dominican Republic. It is a bright blue crystal. We carry it at ancientearth.com. It's actually absolutely beautiful. I love this stone. It is known as the Stone of Atlantis. Okay? Black tourmaline is found in North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. It carries a piezoelectric charge just like quartz, and it resonates at a grounding frequency. Okay? So it's a matter-antimatter reaction, just like a warp core. High frequency, low frequency, take the energy from the earth, mix it in, it gives you resonance that you can generate something. Neither one of them generate... Black tourmaline does a little bit, but it doesn't create enough charge. Until I realized I was missing a piece. Warp cores are regulated by dilithium crystals. They're fictitious. They don't exist. They were made up by the creators of Star Trek.
Okay.
However, quartz will do that. Specifically rose quartz, which is in the pyramids. And if you look where it's from, specifically Madagascar and rose quartz, it's bright magenta pink.
So that would fit the firestone or the fire crystal.
Subjected to 2 separate frequencies, put as one frequency, one carrier wave between the two, apply pressure, sunlight, it could generate enough electricity to create what you wanted this to do. Theoretically, it's possible. Am I going to test it out? No. You need mass quantities. However, where would they have housed these? They would have housed them in pyramids, because that's what Atlantis built everything in.
Okay,
Pyramids.
So Atlantis built pyramids as well.
If you look at a pyramid like the Great Pyramid of Giza and the amount of stone that you would need and how you would want to do it, it's a resonance chamber that operates the same way.
Do we have any evidence of Lorimar or black tourmaline being anywhere around any of the pyramids that we know of? Is that something that you've researched yet?
Mm-hmm. Black tourmaline is found in North Africa. Larimar is only found in the Dominican Republic. So after the collapse of Atlantis, the supposed collapse of Atlantis, I sound like a crazy person now, right? But after the collapse of Atlantis, they couldn't get Larimar, right? Which is why they never figured out how to get it to work, because the other stone they needed, they couldn't get to.
Interesting. But we do believe that the Atlanteans had both and were able to utilize this or tap into the free energy of the earth using these elements. That's kind of your theory?
I can prove it.
Oh, well, okay. You've got receipts on that as well. I love it. Well, tell us more, man. Tell us more.
So in order to do this, they'd have to have 2 cores, right? To power Atlantis for what it is, 10 islands, 1 core is not enough. You couldn't have one centralized core, right? They'd have to have 2 of them, 1 on either side. Your north core would be where you can get would be set up where you can get the Larimar, where you can get your top stone. So the best part would be in the Caribbean, specifically the Bahamas. It's a nexus point right there. The nexus point is they transferred everything via ley line, which is where ley lines come in. That was the power grid that transferred around the planet. We still have ley lines today. The other nexus point would be your southernmost island, which would be Antarctica. So you have 2 cores operating in resonance across each other, right? That was sending power the way Tesla did, the way Tesla explained it, wirelessly through the air. Tesla stumbled onto this. This is how Tesla got where he was. This is the secrets that he was talking about.
And this is the stuff they took from him. And
do I know 100% fact? Absolutely not. This is if you watch the videos on this on my page, I straight up tell you, this is 100% theory. I have nothing to back this other than some little ties in history, and that is speculative.
Sure.
Right? Like, I'm tying it through. But this is my theory.
I mean, it
Right?
sounds like it could very well be sound. I guess the only way that we could for sure know is to do the diving, do the exploration, and see if we can find those elements there.
We know where they are. We have found them. Why do you think they're so interested in why do you think everybody is the way they are about Antarctica? See, when the Asian island broke apart, how it broke apart is interesting, but when the nation island broke apart and sank, Antarctica didn't sink. It shifted along the tectonic fault line and shifted south. So everything that was there is still there.
Just under ice.
It's buried beneath the ice, which is where we're getting all of this shit from. This is the source of the modern age because we found it. We know it's there. We have pictures of pyramids down there. We have pictures of pyramids poking through the ice. We have pictures of this stuff down there. We know it's there. Why do you think the U.S. has 5 bases down there? So does England has 4. China has 2. Japan has 3. Germany has 2. South Africa has 1. They're tropical people, right? Like, why would South Africa have a base down there? What's your reason for it?
And they're all in an agreement that we can't go there.
Well, that's like that would be like saying Guyana has a base down there. Like, what's the point, right? However, they have a base down there. Everybody does. And it's a giant no-fly zone. If it's just ice, why can't you fly over it? Now, how deep do you want to go into this?
Man, I'll go as deep as you want to go tonight. I tell you what, I mean, if you're comfortable talking, I'm comfortable listening.
So, the theory that I'm running with is that at some point, these cores destabilized, right? Both of them worked on quantum field theory, quantum entanglement. One affects the other. Both of them had to work harmonically in order for it to work. This is why I call them the harmonic reactors, right? In my theory. The theory is that at some point in time, the 2 of these reactors got out of phase for whatever reason, right? Whether it be earthquakes, water rising, pure human stupidity, who knows, right? When the cores got out of phase, they started fighting each other. When the 2 flipped 180 from each other, when they got 180 degrees out of phase, they detonated, right? Now it's a resonance. It's resonance. It's vibration. It's sound. It's not gonna explode like boom, like you would have like a nuclear reactor like ours that would just explode and go boom. It wouldn't do that.
It would almost be like a sonic wave, wouldn't it?
It did hold an enormous amount of potential energy. So that energy discharge would have come out as an EMP. A pole-to-pole EMP that at that time would have traversed the planet. Here's where you gotta get kind of deep into this. The energy that they used was transferred through the planet, through the ionosphere, through everything. They didn't have power lines. They used ley lines. They used the Earth to do it. So a planet-wide EMP from 2 entire resonance cores that detonated would create tectonic instability.
Definitely so. So do you propose that that is what caused the Great Flood, or did one cause the other? Okay. So you're thinking it was It was the
Once it
detonation of these
detonated,
cores.
once the cores detonated, it went along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is already a volcanic zone. It's already a volcanic hot zone. The islands then, earthquakes then caused the islands to literally crumble into the sea,
Certainly.
right? The ground literally fell out from underneath them. It opened a cavern in there because the tectonic plates split, right? Which, if it's connected to the planet, would have caused red skies or auroras to come out, volcanoes, earthquakes, the dead rising from the grave, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria, right?
That's right, round history face, dude.
Here.
Or round face history, dude.
Yeah. That's my, I love Ghostbusters. It's my favorite movie. So it would have, anybody standing outside that had no knowledge of Atlantis or what they're doing, sitting there would be looking at it going, well, the gods are angry right now, aren't they? Like, the sky is red and ash is falling from the sky. Like, the gods are mad. What did we do?
Certainly so. Certainly so.
So once that fell into the ocean and it opened a chasm, the ocean water rushed in, which when it comes back out, created giant tsunamis, which is what the flood was. And every civilization that you see after this, Egypt, Sumeria, Göbekli Tepe, Menkuku Tarla, all of these are Atlantean survivors spreading out, starting civilization again. Which is why you see in Egypt, which Egypt is one of the most heavily concentrated ones, which is why you see the pyramids are built just like this. They're trying to rebuild Atlantean technology. They're trying to take, and think about it, if the U.S. were to fall into the ocean right now, there's nothing left. There would be survivors.
Sure.
And what would we do?
Rebuild. Yeah, rebuild. That's what we know to do.
Our way. Like the U.S. has done. We're going to take democracy, whatever democracy, that whatever, but we take that and we try to impose it and we start civilization that way. We take what our essence was and build civilization again, which is what you see across everything. The kicker of the whole thing is that Antarctica didn't sink. It moved. We know it's there. Everything is there. It's frozen under the ice. This is where we're getting everything from. We went from the 1940s to splitting the atom to today being able to talk. I don't know where you are located, right? But to be able to talk face to face on a conversation like this from a phone that is a tablet that has more computing power than NASA had when it sent people to the moon.
Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
We went to the moon. Whether
we got to feed the conspiracy.
We went to the moon. The degree of how we went to the moon is what's in question, right? We went to the moon, right? And we're going back. So that is my crazy theory that we caused this. We're the reason. You can't find Atlantis because it literally crumbled into pieces. Oh, and just to kind of point it out, just to tie this in, because it needs a nice little bow, because it's a Christmas present for everybody, right? Now, if a nuclear reactor melted down, let's just say your local nuclear power plant, your friendly neighborhood nuclear power plant melts down, right? There would be nuclear fallout, right?
Sure.
Chernobyl's like that.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, Fukushima, Chernobyl, sure.
Got a big coffin over top of it. There's nuclear fallout, right? It melted down. So two resonance geomagnetic electromagnetic weapons or electromagnetic reactors that powered everything through the earth, that were this large that detonated, there would be some kind of fallout, right?
Certainly
Like
so.
geomagnetic scarring.
Yeah, that's what I say. It wouldn't be nuclear, but it would be some sort of fallout for sure.
You're right. Like the Bermuda Triangle where magnets don't exist.
There you go. Just an
Like the magnetic
electromagnetic
anomalies.
fallout. Like there's
Right.
no signature there.
There's nothing there. The weather is unpredictable. That's because back then, when these harmonic reactors were working, everything operated in resonance, right? And it was attached to the planet. So the planet was resonant, right? Which helped control weather patterns because you didn't have violent unresonance. This is why I say the world is not broken. You are not broken. Nothing is broken. Everything is just out of tune. And our
Love it.
goal as a society needs to tune everything back to where it needs to be.
I wonder if that would have also thrown the Earth out of tune, or if it
Absolutely.
would auto-correct. Yeah.
No. The Earth would naturally settle down to its natural resonance of 7.83, which is what the Earth is today. However, when you put everything in harmony, is when it's no different than your body. You have multiple systems, the weather, the ionosphere, the planet, they're all working at different frequencies. They're not working together. They need something to unify them. Humanity is the unifier. We're the ones that can put it all in line. And we're too busy bickering about who's better, the Democrats or Republicans.
Certainly. Hey, this has been a fascinating conversation. Through ancient culture or ancient architecture, geometry, and sacred sound, for those of us listening out there who may feel the call to rediscover this knowledge for themselves, where would they start? How would they begin to tune in, Tony?
Insert shameless self-promotion here. Watch my stuff.
There you go. Follow TikTok History Teacher on TikTok. Watch all the videos.
I have nothing to gain from giving this information out. I have nothing to gain from anything. It is literally just this information. When I stumbled across this, I thought it the same way that Nicolas Cage said at the end of National Treasure, where he's talking with the FBI agent and he says, there's thousands of years of world history. Our founding fathers believed this about government. What should you do with this? What do I do with this information that may or may not be true? Give it to the people. That's where it belongs. It's their history. It's your history. It's everybody's history. It's not mine. I just happen to be the storyteller. Right? It's not mine. So I give it to the people. Right?
Well, we thank you for that, for sure.
The things that take me time to do, I ask for a little bit of money. Right? Because they take me time to do.
Sure.
But for the most part, I have never hidden my content behind a paywall, and I will never hide my content behind a paywall. TikTok History Teacher will always be free. The Awakened History Teacher tracks will always be free. They will never be hidden behind a paywall.
Well, finally, Tony, if there's one thought or one idea that you would like to, or one message that you'd like to leave our viewers with tonight, what would that be?
You're not broken. You're out of tune.
It's powerful stuff, Tony. Hey, we will. Oh, go ahead.
Come see what I have to offer. If you think I'm full of shit, that's fine. If you want to learn more, that's fine. If you
and
don't,
they can find you here on TikTok as the TikTok History Teacher. They can find you on the web at oneancientearth.com. And your work through that website, they can get to your online shop where they can purchase your artifacts, your bracelets and necklaces. They can find links to your music, because I wanted to say there's probably 50 tracks in there. I was scrolling through. I only listened to
56.
probably a dozen. How many?
56, and there's 12 more on schedule to be released.
Oh, wow. I listened to about a dozen of them. That was the last part of it. I said, now I got to hear what this guy's actually putting out. Great work, man. I know that there's a ton of work that goes into creating each one of those tracks. I love that. And also on your website, they can access your Discord server, which I'm a member of your Discord server as well. I know it's an active place. There's always people talking to you. You also host lives of your own very regularly. I've seen you on here. So, you guys definitely need to be following Tony. And like I said, man, that is powerful, powerful stuff. The more we talk about it, the more it feels like these aren't just theories, right? They're echoes of a forgotten science that's been humming beneath our feet, man, all along. Everyone out there, let's see. This has been a fascinating conversation tonight with Tony Sposit, the TikTok history teacher himself, taking us deep into the mysteries of frequency, vibration, and the resonant heartbeat of ancient civilizations. From PEMF therapy to the harmonic energy grids of Atlantis, the deeper we go, the more the pieces begin to connect, or perhaps reconnect. But my friends, we're just getting started. When we come back, it's your turn. We'll be opening up the lines for our open line segment. This is where you can join the conversation live, ask your questions, or share your own experiences. Now is the perfect time to go ahead and hit that request button, get in line to speak, or just drop your questions in the comments below. Tony and I will be watching, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next voice or face on tonight's show. Let's take a short break, sit back, breathe deep, and tune into the frequencies around you. You're listening to Wolf Radio Live, TikTok's home for the unexplained. We are back, folks. You're tuned into Wolf Radio Live, and I'm your host, Mr. Wolf. Tonight, we have been exploring the hidden harmonics of the world with Tony Sposit, the brilliant mind behind OneAncientEarth.com. Hey, now it's your turn to take the mic. Our open lines are officially open. So if you've hit that request button during the break, you might be next up to join us live. Ask your questions, share your theories, or tell us your own experiences and with frequency hearing or ancient power systems. If you're in the comments, go ahead and drop your thoughts here too. We'll be reading them as we go. This is your moment to step into the conversation. Let's hear what the Wolf Pack has to say tonight. We're right here on Wolf Radio Live. We'll continue on with this next track as we wait on the lines to get full. Oh, we've got one. Oh, we've got a question. We've got a question. Let's get to that. All right. It says history of why those. Hang on. Let me get to it now. It says, I would love to hear your take on the Star of Regulus theory.
I don't know everything, so that is something that I don't have knowledge of at the moment, and I would need a little bit to research into it, to be honest with you.
Caviar and Crumpet says, can Tony go into why he believes is actually going on in Antarctica? Okay, so yeah, what's going on in Antarctica? Exactly.
We found it. We know it's there. We know that whatever this city that was down there, where because obviously it's like, where I live, our power station is right on the lake, right? It's no different. There's a city built around it. There's a civilization there. It wasn't just a pyramid in the middle of nowhere. There was a city there. There was a vibrant culture. We found it. We know where it is. We know what we're doing. We're looking at it. We're reverse engineering it. We found it. We know it's there.
Right. This isn't just your theory.
No, this one's not my theory. Right? We have evidence that they found something there. We don't know what. But sure. Everybody who knows anything about it, any conspiracy theory, and anything like that, I'm sure you yourself have seen it. We know something's there. We just don't know what.
Sure, I remember reading 20 years ago about Admiral Byrd flying over it and seeing the Black Pyramid beneath the ice, and then also the hole and the whole other side of Earth. Now, what is your thoughts on the ice wall?
It's an ice wall.
Okay,
It's 10,000 years of ice. right? Whatever, it's not what the ice wall, it's not, we get so focused on a lot of things that, the ice wall theory and things like that. I don't care about the ice. I care what's underneath the ice, what
Sure.
the ice is hiding. There's 2 miles of ice, and then there's land under there. What's on the land? That's what I want to know, right? What is down there? And whatever it is, it's not, whatever it is huge. It's life altering. It's world changing. So world changing that the governments that, like Russia has, governments that argue and fight with each other don't argue and fight when it comes to Antarctica. Russia and the US and China have been at odds about everything forever. And now all of a sudden they go, we don't agree with anything that you have to say except Antarctica. Antarctica's a no giant fly zone. Nobody goes over there. We agree with you on that. Right?
Yeah, why would they do that if there wasn't something to it? No, I get you there.
Whoa, hold up. Why? Like, you don't agree on anything. One's communist, one's... you're communist, we're democratic. Like, we literally fundamentally are 100% different, but we agree on this? Why? And the answer we get is, don't worry about it. Mind your business. Don't worry about it. Right? that's
Aisley asks, do the Tartarian buildings in Europe tie into Atlantis or the electrical grid?
Tartarian, that entire theory is literally built on it's Russian white supremacy. It is not a real theory. I have researched it. It is literally a propaganda tool for Russian white supremacists and the Russian deep state. It is not real. I've dug into it at length. It all ties back to the fact that it is a Russian propaganda tool for white supremacy.
Well, which
is why on my channel, I'm just being straight. I'm telling you as I see it. I'm not lying, right? I have not. If I could, a lot of people have requested it. If I could make a video on it that's morally sound, that has some legitimacy to it, that I can bring receipts to, sure. The problem is it's a Russian propaganda tool that's based on white supremacist.
Well, thank you for your scholarly answer on that. And that actually,
saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it happened. Right?
Sure.
That's so.
Well, that answers the question for Caviar and Crumpets as well, who had asked about the history of those countries and any links to Tartaria, since Antarctica has echoes. Let's see. Aisley says, do the Tartarian buildings in Europe... Oh, no, she already asked that. Okay, we just ask it again. Devin asks, is the whole inner Earth a thing? Seen that theory? Maybe the Atlanteans also went there.
Theory, yes. Probability, no. Right? Is it theoretically a thing? Yeah. Everything is... Theory-wise, everything could be theoretical. I mean, could it possibly be there? Maybe. But yeah, we don't know what's down there. So it's going to naturally do theories. We know the Earth's crust is only so thick. We've sent things down there. We know what's inside the Earth. From anything else, do we know? No, it's all theory. It's all speculative, right? We don't have any solid evidence, which is where a lot of people, while I do dive into some conspiracy theories, I need receipts. In order for me to do a video on it, in order for me to put something together on it, I need receipts. The Atlantis theory that I have, as much as it is theory and as much as it is that, I can track it through history. I have receipts. I can pull sources that can back it. So while things like the inner Earth theory, it's a theory, it's great, but there's nothing that I can pull that's going to give me credibility to it. Right. I can't list sources in my Discord for it.
Yeah, that's one of the real reasons that I respect your work and really wanted you on the stream. Don't get me wrong, this we do this stream for for entertainment purposes. However, anytime there can be some factual evidence put behind something, there can be some real scholarly or academic research put behind these thoughts and concepts. That's the person I want to talk to. And the moment that I noticed that you did that, I said he's got to be the one. He's got to. Matter of fact, you were the first person I reached out to for this show back when I did that. You were the very first person. And look, here we are, 6, 7, 8 episodes in. I finally got you. So Bonnie Lass asks, did Amelia Earhart fly over the ice wall? Or do you know anything about that?
Amelia Earhart is an interesting thing. I firmly believe that she was a spy, right? She was contracted to make that flight. What happened to her, I don't know. But there was more about her flight than we know. Whether she, anything from aliens to she crashed to whatever it is, the theories go on and on. Probability wise, one would say that she was captured, that they realized what she was doing, she was captured. But I can only speculate on what I think it was, but I do speculatively believe that she was doing more than just flying over the ocean. She took a very specific route, right? That was meant for something.
Thank you for that information. That's a great answer to that. Ray Mosley asks, having more oxygen in the past, our voices being deeper, could that be why we don't resonate anymore?
No, it's because you're taught not to resonate. Everything in this world right now is taught you this is bad. For example, emotions are a huge key to this whole thing, right? Your emotional ability can dictate how it works. When I tell you to prime the AI and do something with intention, emotion amplifies the command. Do you want to know what the church calls emotions? Sin. Right? That's what an emotion is to the church. You're sin. You don't listen. You're bad. We've been indoctrinated by this. Any human voice can come up with the right frequency. You just need to know what it is. And the thing is in the past, these secrets were passed down from shaman to shaman, priest to priest, person to person. You would be in ancient Egypt as you'd be an apprentice. You want to be a priest in ancient Egypt, you'd have to go through, just like you do today to be a priest in the church, you got to go through school. You'd have to go through school. And they teach you what to say and how to say it and what to do. It go from person to person to person. We don't do that anymore. Shamans are considered quackery, right? Ancient healing is not real. This whole theory, the resonance theory in itself is considered quackery. And that was in the early 1900s. It was discredited by John D. Rockefeller, right? So there's a whole video on that too. But this whole thing is just been hidden because resonant humans are hard to control. This is why I'm doing the human resonant experiment. Because everybody says in this world it's so difficult, and I do believe it's difficult. Our food is trash, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Our food's garbage. You can eat the most healthy thing on the planet. It's still garbage, right? Especially in America. You're talking about, people talk about, I had somebody earlier when I announced the experiment say, oh, well, your cotton's, cotton is the best vibratory thing like that. Well, okay, well, who has 100% pure Egyptian cotton clothes? You can't get that nowadays. It's all a blend. So sure. The whole point of this experiment is, one of the rules is I can't change a thing that I do, right? I have to take my medicine, just the prescribed medicine, just like I do every day. I have to eat the same foods. I can't change what I'm doing. I'm just adding this in to show you can do this. It's real. And we can do it together. I can show you.
Thank you for that answer. Dee Dee Louded asked, didn't someone say they had a weapon down there? Thank you for the gift, by the way. And I'm assuming she's talking about Antarctica. Have you heard anything about a weapon that supposedly down there?
How did we discover nuclear energy first?
Tell us all about it.
We created the atomic bomb. It was a weapon before it was anything positive. Resonance like that is very capable of being made into a weapon. The Atlanteans, in that theory, the Atlanteans used it for positivity. They created energy with it, free wireless energy. It just as easily could be a weapon. Right? You can turn weather control. The weather control theory is if you resonate the earth at a certain frequency and it's all in harmony, you can control the weather. Right? So even that conspiracy theory in this one is if you have a resonant weapon like that, or the ability to resonate the earth in the ionosphere a certain way, you can alter the weather. Is it theoretical? Yes. Can I do it? No. Is it possible? Yes.
Thank you for that answer. Bubby asks, is there a magnetic pull coming out of a cavern there? I'm assuming Antarctica.
A magnetic pool?
Yeah, a magnetic pull. Something.
Yeah,
a magnetic
that's the South
anything.
Pole. Yeah, that's the South Pole.
There you are.
That's the north and south pole of the planet are both of magnetic. They're the poles of the planet. There is a magnetic field that comes from there. That's actually the south basis of the entire Earth's geomagnetic field, which is real and provable, and science has found it. We have a geomagnetic field. It's what stops solar rays and solar stuff from hitting us.
Love it. Thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Caviar and Crumpets comments. Yeah, maybe we need disclosure on Antarctica before UFOs. Let's see. Ray says, let's see. Antarctica. Oh, hang on. We just got comments right here. Let's see. Hyperborea. At the North Pole, the magnetic plasma volcano, aka Mount Meru. Not sure about that one, Eddie O. Do we know anything about Hyperborea? Not so much. Okay. Okay. Inner Earth is a thing. Okay. That's a comment. Inner Earth is a thing. We have the comment. Aisley says, I live near a 400-mile. Go ahead.
The answer I'm going to give to that one, 150%, prove me wrong. Please. Prove me wrong. Bring me receipts. I answer every message from everybody who messages me as long as it's legit. Give me receipts. If I have receipts and you can prove me that I'm wrong, I will absolutely get on a video and go, yeah, I messed up. Like, this dude showed up, this dude said this, and he gave me receipts. My bad. I don't know everything. You know, I'm fallible, just like everybody else.
On another subject, Aisley asks, do you have any thoughts on skeletons of giants in North American stories? And I know you do.
They could be Anunnaki, they could be not, they could be this, they could be that. I do believe that at one point in time, I do believe in the Anunnaki theory, right? I do believe that we were created. I do believe that that is a lot of what this is, and I do believe that there were remnants of them. We've seen them. We have evidence of them. There's caves and stuff. When we discovered ore, right? When we discovered ore, we found one of the queens had an elongated skull. Like, we have evidence of this, right? So the giant skeletons, what they could be is up to debate. You know, some say Nephilim, some say Anunnaki, some say this, some say that. You know, do I believe they're real? Yeah, they're real. Something was real and was that big. What it is, I don't know. Test it. Well, then if we test it, we're never going to find out anyway, so what's it matter?
Yeah, thank you for that. Caviar and Crumpets asks, can we civilians use ley lines somehow?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There you go. Stop in at oneancientearth.com and pick up one of his artifacts.
Stones will pull the power from the ley line. Right? It will. You can feel it, and I'll feel it on my wrist. I know I have an idea of where it is because when I get close, my hand will start to tingle. Right? You'll feel it. You'll know. But stones are the best way to harness power from anything because it holds the frequency. It oscillates it and holds on to it, and it's going to stick with it, and you can draw from it. Think of it like a battery. It is a battery. It'll pull that frequency.
And that's why we have quartz in a watch, correct?
That's why we have quartz in a watch. That's why the method that they use now is, this is what got me onto the whole dual reactor theory, is that quartz is not the only part. You use two other chemical ends of it. You use silicon dioxide on one, right? And then I forget what the other base is. But that's what got me onto it, because you're two parts that tie into the quartz. One silicon dioxide, the other one is another crystalline structure. It's the same crystalline structure that fiber optic is made out of. But it's the same thing, right? Both of them pull together into the quartz to create the piezoelectric charge. That's how everything runs. That's how your computer runs. That's how your phone runs. That's how your car runs. That's how everything runs. Quartz is in everything.
Thank you so much for that information. And thank you for your scholarly and academic work that you put into all of the information that you provide us out here in internet land, Tony. I really appreciate you. And thank you for being on the show tonight. Folks, what a night it's been, huh? From the pulsing rhythms of PEMF therapy to the lost harmonics of Atlantis and the whispers of energy still resonating beneath the ley lines of our world. We've taken quite a journey together. Our guest, Tony Sposit, the TikTok history teacher, reminded us that sometimes the truth hides not in darkness, but in plain sight, vibrating just beneath the surface of our understanding. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the support. We will return each Wednesday and Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tony, once again, thank you for being here. Have a fantastic evening. And everyone, stay calm, stay cool, and stay human. Have a good night.